Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's ConvHERsations with Kristie. I am Kristie Clayton, the founder of HERverse. HER is an acronym for Helping Executives Rise, and we do that in 3 ways. We have a peer community for second-in-command leaders called Female Executive Mastermind, or FEM. We also have a second community for women leaders who are on the leadership team, and that's our Lead HER community. And then we have coaching for visionaries, integrators, second in command leaders, and executive leadership teams as well. And that is done through Accelerate Leaders. This week, I am super excited to have Ginny with us. Ginny's one of my favorite people, and I always love when I have a chance to get to speak with her. But before we jump into our conversation, I do want to remind everybody that HERverse is doing an amazing give back to the community that has been impacted by the hurricanes. I know it's been a couple of weeks. We're not hearing about it nearly as much in the news and in the media as we were once, but I promise you, having been through a hurricane myself, I can tell you these people are still going through the heartache of digging out of the hurricane. So we are going to put a link to our Strong Her Together shirts. And remember, all proceeds that we collect will be given directly to those that have boots on the ground so that they can help the people that are impacted the most. Ginny, welcome, my friend. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I would love to. And first, let me say that my Stronger Together shirt is already packed and in my bag, ready to go to Summit.
Yes. Hey, and I will say, I was like, I was part of the design and all of the things, but when I got my shirt in, they are beautiful shirts.
They turned out great.
So soft and comfy too. I can't wait to wear mine at Summit too. Well, Jenny, introduce yourself. Who is Jenny?
So I'm a wife. I am a mother to 2 fabulous adult children and grandmother to 6 amazing grandchildren. Youngest is about 18 months and the oldest is 13. So nice range there. And what I like doing is going on adventures. So I like going on adventures with my husband, Brian. We go to music festivals and we like trying new foods and seeing new places. And I like the summer, took some time off every Friday to go on adventures with my grandchildren. We, everything from the zoo to river walks to just backyard picnics. So whatever the moment inspires, I love adventures.
Oh, I love that. How fun.
So I also am the integrator for Radcom. I've been with Radcom about 19 years. Have had the wonderful opportunity to see where we have come and where we're going. We started off as a training development and technical documentation company. So I've got to see the evolution to the performance improvement work that we're doing, which is really exciting me. And it's kind of the evolution to the revolution. So we are looking to revolutionize what work looks like. So we want to see it look different, be different, feel different, and ultimately help people love their work. So that's what I do.
Girl, you're speaking my language. This is what I love, love, love. So where did this passion for, accomplishment-based performance improvement, like where did that spark come from for Radcom and for you? Why are you so passionate about this?
So years and years of being in the training development, instructional design, and technical documentation area, we have had clients year after year come to us saying, my people need training. They're not getting it. They're not doing what they're supposed to. we've already done training and it didn't work, so they need more training or better training. And we would dig in and find that training might help, and better standard operating procedures and work instructions and those kinds of things might help. But you've got other things going on. You have other things influencing your people's behavior, and it's not something that skills or knowledge is going to solve. And so that's where we took a step back. Our amazing VP of Operations, Therese Longo, went through a program called Performance Thinking that is offered by a great gentleman named Carl Binder. And we kind of said, there's something to this. There's more to it than just the skills and knowledge. So how can we better help our clients solve their issues? So that's a huge thing. And accomplishment based. So looking at, it's not just what you do. It's not what you know. It's what you produce. Yes, you have to know some things to do that. Yes, you have to do some things to do that. But if you could do things all day long and still not produce what you're ultimately being paid to produce. So it's not the actions that have value, it's the product of those actions that has value.
I love that. Wow. So I know that's really where your focus is on it's really truly on the accomplishment based approach instead of a behavioral based approach. Can you talk a little bit about the difference and why such a focus on the accomplishment instead of behavioral?
Sure. So if you think about a lot of job postings, a lot of job descriptions are talking about what people do. This is what you're going to do on the job. These are the competencies that we're looking for on the job. And again, it's not that those things don't matter. It's that they only matter in context of what you are producing on the job. So you ultimately are paid to produce something, even in the service industry.
Yeah.
You're being paid to produce a happy client. You are being paid to produce, it might be clients who purchase again, so you need to look at the outputs of those behaviors. We work with clients so we've kind of flipped the job description, and we create what we call a role overview instead. And it goes through it does have some of the high level things. What is the role? Some job descriptors, but then it really, the meat of it is listing what are the outputs of this job. And then for each of those outputs, we also then have a output sheet that really digs into, for this output, what's the criteria for a good one? What are the standards for saying you've created this output to acceptable expectations? So it really helps set those job expectations very clearly. It also includes things like the who you will interact with to create this, because we are humans doing work with other humans. So who might you need to interact with on this? What are the high level steps? What are some of the resources that are available to you to create this, and how to get to them? And what are the skills and knowledge? So there is some training. What are the skills and knowledge, and how can you develop those? So that is, kind of bigger picture, where we've pulled it away from just a simple job description to a support system.
And that's going to be really important, right? Because we all want to support our employees. We want to see them do well, but we just need to be crystal clear in what that looks like.
Yeah. So that's going back to that 6 boxes performance thinking that Carl Binder puts together. It's based on some work by the father of performance improvement, human performance improvement, Tom Gilbert. But there's 6 basic areas it looks into. Have you properly set the expectations, and do you have good feedback loops? How does a person know if they're doing a good job? And it might be, interaction with your manager, but you might also be able to set things up that they can self-identify. How great is that? I know by the time I'm done producing it, I know if I've produced a good one or not.
Yeah.
I can self-identify, so the expectations and feedback. It also looks at, have you given them the proper tools and resources? So that's another area, if something's not going right, those are the first 2 areas that you should look to see. It's not skills and knowledge. It's not training. Have I properly set expectations, and do they have the tools and the resources that they need to do the job? And the better you set these things up, the more likely you're going to have employees who are happy, employees who will, be excited to come to work, who won't be looking for their next job, and who actually begin to love their jobs.
Oh, and that's the ultimate goal, right? We want everybody to love their job and love what they do.
So there's also the other areas that come into that, because I only covered 2 and there's 6. It's also looking at incentives and consequences. So are you properly incentivizing? Are you not inadvertently disincentivizing? How many times do we think that we are incentivizing the behaviors we want, only to find out that we've actually done the exact opposite?
Oh, can you give an example of that? Because I think that happens more times than we realize, and we may not even recognize it.
So a good example might be in sales, you have a new product and you want everyone to be selling this product. And so you've given them all the training and you've told them all of the things and all the bells and whistles that they should be telling their clients. But somewhere in the back end, their commission doesn't give them the bonuses to actually sell that item. They get better commission if they sell that old product. And that happens all the time.
It does. Accidentally, right?
Accidentally. Like you didn't realize that you didn't make that shift.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you for that example. And I'll let you continue because I know you got
That's okay. So now we get into the 4th is skills and knowledge. That's where having that support system, having the documentation and the training, and it might be a job aid. You may not need a big fancy e-learning course that has all the bells and whistles. You might need just a simple checklist. So that's the other thing about taking this approach. Coming from a training development company, I can tell my clients, training's not going to help. Don't spend your money on it. When it's not the right solution. When it's the right solution, let's do this, but let's also do it wisely.
Yes.
Let's have training in the moment as much as possible. Let's have scenario-based training that is something that they can immediately apply to their job. Let's make sure that everything that they are getting in their training is relevant to their job. can't tell you how many times subject matter experts want to include everything. They want to include the history of how this technology came to be in the first place. I don't necessarily need to know the history of coffee to be able to make a cup of coffee.
Yes.
I might be interested in it. And there might be a way to, if you're interested, here's additional information you can go research and find out. But I need to, and it might be in the moment. I am a barista and I need to make this specific cup of coffee, and I haven't made it in the last 3 weeks, and I don't remember. Where's my simple job aid that step 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, here's your coffee, sir.
Yeah. That's such a great example too, because what occurred to me is sometimes we don't have things that we do all day, every day. We might only do them on occasion. And when we only do them on occasion, even those that are of us that are fantastic at this kind of, it does slip our mind. Wait a minute, how do I do that again? Just because out of sight, out of mind, it's not nearly as habitual as the other things that we do.
Right. And so a couple good examples of why you want something simple like that. One, you don't do it very often, or two, it is critical. Think about pilots and their pre-flight checklist.
Yes.
They do it every single time they go up in the air, but they know what bad can happen if you don't. And so you do everything on the checklist in a precise fashion. And so just having that job aid, just having that checklist is often the most important part. You need to have gone through the training. Clearly, I want all of my pilots to have had lots of hours of training as practical experience on the job. But I also want to know that, they have that job aid to make sure they cross all of their T's and dot all their I's.
Yeah. Well, and for consistency's sake too, right? Like if you do have a new employee or someone who maybe goes from one location to another, just those simple reminders so that everyone, our clients, our customers get a consistent experience.
Yes.
That was one of the geniuses to me of McDonald's when they started to franchise, is all of the aids and the consistency and the exact same experience that you got at every single location, including the ice cream machine being broken, right?
Exact same experience.
Like same experience. But that's so important. And
right.
Sometimes we don't think about that, right? But those aids and those things that you're talking about, they do help us with that.
Yeah. Well, and they also help us when you have defined the consistent process. Now you can more easily identify when you need to fix something.
Yes.
When going back to those output profiles that we help create, those can be used for onboarding. They actually can be used in helping to during the hiring process, but they can be used for training a new person. They can be used when you've identified something's not working correctly. Well, let's go to the output sheet. This is the output that we're having a problem with. Where in this output is the issue? Is it in the process itself? Is there something we need to fix in the process? Or is it something this person needs, some remediation? So it can be used for coaching. It can be used for career pathing. So I'm, a engineer 1, and I want to become an engineer 4 someday. I can clearly see these are the outputs for an engineer 1, outputs for an engineer 2, 3, and 4. And it's a very clear progression of exactly how I get there.
Yes.
So
Yes. And that is something I'm so passionate about, right? Because transparency with our team members on how they grow, how they develop, how they continue elevating with a company, it's a game changer. It is incredibly expensive for an organization, for an employee to, come and only stay for 2 or 3 years. And if we can create atmospheres and cultures and true transparency that, hey, this is what it takes to get to where you want to be, our rate of success will skyrocket, especially when we don't have anything or very, very little.
Right. And the simply seeing a place for myself here on into the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be looking to change jobs. I mean, right now, I think it's less than 5 years. And that includes people like me who have been at my company for 18. People change jobs. That's the average. So there's, some of the other generations who are much more likely to be changing every 2.5 years. So if we can show there's a place for you here, we want you here, and here's how to get to where you want to go, and let us help you.
Yeah.
You'll reduce turnover. Like you said, the costs of turnover are astronomical.
Yeah. And to me, Jenny, what we're talking about is really, this is one piece of many, right? You have to have the right culture for them want to stay and be involved. But there is a difference between, Gen X and, kind of the long-term, I mean, my dad was at his company for 40 years. And, my grandparents, they were both 35 and 37. It was not unusual for them to stay decades somewhere. And that is drastically different with our younger generation. They're 2 or 3 years is really, the max, and they're ready to move on. And I think one thing that we as second in command leaders and leaders and managers, one of the things we have to do is to want to keep them. They were going to want to stay with us. And this transparency and creating a culture that they want to be in is the way that we're really going to have to shift and change. Because if I don't know what my career looks like here, why am I going to want to change? I mean, why am I going to want to stay? I'm going to want to change and go somewhere else when I can see what it's going to look like there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that ultimately is if we can help companies set better expectations, so that there's a better work experience for their employees, help them put together the tools and the resources that allow people to do their work. People want to do their jobs correctly.
They do.
They don't want to mess up and be reprimanded or know that they're not quite cutting the mustard. It removes stress. Mm-hmm. If we give them the right incentives that are rewarding the correct behaviors and getting them the rewards, they'll feel more appreciated. Giving them the skills and knowledge that they need. So making sure that they have the training, not just for this job, but for those future jobs, making sure they're in the right seat. So all of those things, it helps people embrace what they're doing and be more holistic and ultimately love their jobs.
I love, love, love this. I can also just imagine too that, one of the heartaches I've heard from so many leaders is I promoted somebody and then they weren't they didn't qualify or didn't have the skill sets, or whatever the case may be, but they just didn't cut it at the new role. And I imagine with this transparency and showing people what it's going to look like to get from one stage to the other, it's also going to create consistency from a promotion standpoint, that the right people are getting promoted into additional roles and responsibilities.
So one of the things that I love about this as well is it's very objective. You don't have well, you just like them better.
Yeah.
You have the output, you know what the output is, you know what the standard is, you know how that output is being measured.
Mm-hmm.
You can, like I said, you could self-identify.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know if you're not doing the job. You don't need your supervisor to say, hey, by the way, I don't think, I'm giving you a bad score. There is no subjective bad score. You either are producing it to standard or you're not. Mm-hmm. And so you can self-select that maybe this wasn't the role for me.
Yeah. Wow. This is really going to be a game changer. Like I am so excited about what you're doing. And I can't wait to share it with more people and just learn more about it myself as well, Jenny. So congratulations to you and Radcom for really, truly going to make a difference in the world. Not just for leaders, but for team members as well. I'm so proud of you, friend. So proud of you. Yeah. Well, friend, I knew this was going to be a great conversation. And sure enough, like time flew by and we are already at the end of our conversation. So how I'm going to end 3 rapid fire questions here. So for those of you who might not realize, honor, empower, inspire means a lot to me. So honor is honoring the women from a past generation that did something either significant in the world or in your life. So Jenny, who is a woman from a past generation that you would like to honor?
So I would like to honor Ava Lovelace, the founder, the female founder of computing. She was like the early brainchild of all of our computers today.
Oh, I like it.
Ava Lovelace.
Ava Lovelace. I'm going to have to
1850s maybe.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do some research on her. Yeah. I love it. And empower for me is really, truly the women of today, the women who are in business, running companies, leading teams. Who is a woman of today's generation that either empowers you or that you hope to empower?
So a dear friend who empowers me is her name's Argery, and I'm going to mess up her last name. It's a beautiful Greek last name, Vessalakis, but she has been inspirational to me as far as kind of the humanity influence that we are trying to bring back into the workplace. She does, her practice is around systems thinking and how we are a human system. Even in work, we have people who work together and are interacting with each other, and we bring our whole selves to that work.
That is true. So true. That's beautiful. I love that you have someone like that in your life. All right. So last one is inspire. This means a lot to me. I have beautiful nieces and nephews. We have 14, by the way, nieces and nephews in our family. And so this is a future generation that you hope to inspire. Who is someone you want to inspire, Jenny?
So I have to say there's 3, and it's Alora, Elliot, and Eden. Those are my 3 granddaughters. And if I can inspire them to be bring the human back into the workforce.
Yeah.
And just just be good humans.
Just be good humans. I love that. That's great advice for everybody. Well, Jenny, I know you're inspiring them all day, every day, friend, just by being your absolute beautiful self. Thank you again for coming on. I'm so grateful we got to have a conversation. And for everybody else, next week we are going to be at Femme Summit, but there will be a ConvHERsations with Kristie. And I can't wait to share with you again next week. Y'all have a good one.